everybody, it's Charles, your hobby hero, and today we're going to be looking at one of the biggest scams that I see in the comic book industry. But first, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down in the bottom corner. I do appreciate it. Put out regular content about the hobbies that I love the most. Alright, let me start out by just saying, do not buy this book. And you might be thinking, what are you talking about, Charles? That book right there, that's the first appearance of Miles Morales. That book's worth thousands of dollars in a CGC 9.8. Why would I not want to buy this? My kids love Miles Morales. My husband loves Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. Why would I not want to pick this up? And this is what we're talking about today. This particular book is what they call a facsimile or reprint of that first appearance of Miles Morales. It's a fairly common practice. Marvel's been doing it for a number of years. You'll see it with other companies as well. Now, this is not to be confused with like a second printing or a third printing or a fourth printing that are usually done right in tandem whenever the orders run out for the first printing that has come out. This is straight up a reprint of a book that is no longer in print and not being actively printed, and usually can be ordered in any volume that the distributor wants until whatever copies that they initially made of it are dried up. So not a particularly hard thing to get your hands on. The problem with these books and why they become such targets for these scams is the reason why, you know, they're making them in the first place. They look like the original printings of these classic books. You'll see them for first appearance of Iron Man, first appearance of Spider-Man, first appearance of Superman, and this one first appearance of Miles Morales. These iconic covers that people know by sight, and they will see on these listings on eBay or see on these Mercaris, etc., and they will see this iconic cover for this price that is absolutely stellar or low number of bids. And they'll scoop these up because they recognize the cover, but they do not recognize that it's not the original print. Now, this particular book is a little bit worse than the other ones. So, typically speaking, the way this scam works is they post it. The listing has all the important information for making a purchase. First appearance of so-and-so. You know, Disney Plus speculation behind it, why it's a hot book, why if it's a key book, so forth and so on. And then somewhere buried in the item description, they'll have the word facsimile in there, hoping that somebody is just not going to read it, hoping whoever purchases it, I guess, is not going to notice it in time to get it back before the eBay's return policy, or sell it on a platform that doesn't really have a return policy on there. Most recently, we've seen this with the Werewolf by Night. This book was selling, and I'll throw it up here. This is an auction that ended today, where this book sold at auction for $50 plus. They were selling for $70 to $100 when they first came out. This is a book that you could literally go to any comic book shop around and buy for $3.99 off the counter, not have to pay for shipping. Stores could really order as many copies of it as they could possibly ever want, and they're basically just taking that iconic cover with that speculation, not speculation, but the Moon Knight coming to the Disney Plus series, and really fueling those people that are trying to go out there and buy them, and they find these deals that are too good to be true and end up being just that, too good to be true. Now, these are fairly obvious for people who know comic books that are different. This book came out a long time ago, and now you have a book with a barcode on the front of them, which they did not have back for this particular print, and a big $3.99 price tag up in the top corner, which they also did not have for those books. Now, this Miles Morales one is a little trickier, and I'll throw up on the screen the Miles Morales facsimile, and I'll throw up on the screen over here the original first print of Miles Morales. Now, so if you just take them at a first time glance, there's really not a whole lot of difference that you can see in these particular books. They both have a barcode in approximately the same position on the front cover. About the same size, barcodes shifted slightly. The pricing is the same on these books, and which can also be misleading. And the only really thing you'll notice as far as the barcode is concerned is the placement slightly different, but also that it doesn't say whether it's a direct edition or newsstand edition. However, it doesn't say it's a facsimile edition either. So if you're just looking at the facsimile cover, you would have to know that there should be extra text there in order for that to be an indicator. And again, outside of that, the only other difference on the front cover is the Marvel logo. On the facsimile edition, the Marvel logo has a red box around it. On the original edition, that red box is not there. But again, this is only something that you would recognize if you knew what you were looking for. Now, on the interior cover, you're going to see the issue date, which is obviously a huge indicator of when the book was published. But as far as that goes, front cover, back cover, all the other pages in between are all going to be identical to the original printing of the book, which is where the name facsimile comes from, and which I think makes them really cool. Now, I will say these books do have value. I've picked up a number of these, first appearances of Iron Man, some stuff you'll see open up here on the channel, and a 9.8, they do sell for a decent margin because people can't afford the originals of these books. These books are several thousands of dollars. They like the artwork. It is an iconic artwork. They like it being in a big displayable slab. So a lot of these go for $100, $150 once they're in that 9.8 condition. So having said that, these books aren't entirely without worth. So I don't want you to sit there and think, oh, facsimiles are, you know, complete trash, and then you watch another video on the channel and you're like, well, why is he grading facsimiles after he told me not to buy them? But you can still find these raw pretty much everywhere for about cost if you're looking for those things. So just know what you are purchasing. Again, be very confident when you're buying these things on the cover. This one in particular is tricky, and going forward, a lot of these books will be harder to discern as we get into these modern age mega keys, such as the first appearance of Miles Morales. Prior to this one, all the other ones have been fairly obvious because they're all Silver Age or Bronze Age books, kind of done with a modern pricing structure and modern barcodes, which really stick out to anybody with any knowledge on those types of books. Now, the modern books are going to have to be more discerning, and you're going to really have to start educating yourself on what you're purchasing as you're buying it. I don't doubt that we're going to start seeing the Young Avengers facsimiles start to come out in the near future if they get introduced to the MCU. I don't doubt that we're going to start seeing some of these other keys become mega keys out of the modern age of comics, where their pricing and barcodes and label design and covers are going to be very, very hard to discern the real from the one. So make sure you educate yourself on these. Again, hopefully this video got out before you made a purchase on the Ultimate Fallout 4s. And hopefully you have not been burnt by this one in the past, but I'm telling you, as long as they make facsimile covers, there are going to be people out there that are trying to pass them off as the original. So just be careful if you're buying any mega keys. If it looks like a deal that's too good to be true, make sure you're doing your homework on those. Until next time, Hobby Hero out.